Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash
There are no peaks without valleys.
and Dale Hummel.
I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to bed.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Sorry about that delay. I had my phone ringing in the background, Ryan. It's kind of a mess this morning.
Well, it's my fault because I have to go to the Utah State Fair, and this was like the only time that I could record, that we could all record. But anyway, it's very early, but it's fine.
It is. Have you come to the realization that it's sad how our president presents himself to the world?
Well, he told everybody at the summit or whatever the hell he was at that was more important than commemorating 9/11 that he had to go to bed. And
that was avoiding a question about Xi Jinping, I believe.
yeah,
Why he hasn't
he
spoken.
had to go. He had to go to bed. Then he lied in Alaska about commemorating 9/11. Said he was there before Bush got there, and and that's totally not true.
No, he didn't even go there for almost a week, I believe. Actually,
Yeah,
to
so
ground zero.
he's got a lot of stuff going on right now. Now they've officially opened an impeachment inquiry, and just I feel like I need to say this. And again, I know most people won't care. This is not the same thing they did to Trump, though. Okay, I want to point that out there. An impeachment inquiry is basically so they can get access to his bank accounts, from what I understand. And
Further access.
Right. They can dig deeper on this to see if actual articles of impeachment should be brought up. The Democrats, they just impeached Trump twice.
Yes, the logic that they have is that they want to dig deeper into the shell companies to find out who's behind those shell companies and have access to a lot of information that somehow, and this shouldn't happen, but the congressional committee has still been blocked from access to a lot of the information that is being covered up, in my opinion, by other governmental agencies. And not only do we have issues in the White House, but if what I am seeing is accurate, there are governmental agencies out there that are in bed with Biden to the point of treason, in my opinion. And in terms of what they have covered up, it is amazing to me. And speaking of lies from Job, and before I come back further on the impeachment, I had watched a news clip. He was visiting with one of the Gold Star families that had lost a loved one in the pullout from Afghanistan, the disastrous pullout in Afghanistan. And I believe it was the day that their son was coming back on a plane in a casket. And she tells a story that President Biden shares with her that he and his wife understand how they feel because their son came home in a casket in a similar manner. She goes on to explain that they were at their son's side when he died from cancer, and that's a terrible thing. But the point of this story is, I don't know that he's lying intentionally. If he's lost that much cognitive ability, I'm not sure what it is. But if you go back and look at some of his history, he does continue. You will see a pattern that he embellishes stories and changes things around to include himself at a level that I can't believe he's continued to get away with it.
Okay, see, I have a different take on it. And I don't want you to think that I am sticking up for him, because I'm not. But he has had a lot of pain in his life. Okay, there's no doubt. His Bo died. Hunter has struggled with addiction. All this other stuff. Like, he's dealt with pain, like every other human being on the planet. What I think he does is he thinks that his pain relates to everybody else in the exact same way, and it doesn't. And so he tells these stories so people will know what he's had to go through and what he's done, and he thinks that he's empathizing, and he's just making a big jackass out of himself.
That's possible.
I don't think it's malicious. I think it's his way of he thinks he's showing empathy.
Ignorance is what I call it.
I said he looked like a jackass.
And there's no, and you're right. There's no reason for him to be malicious in a situation like that. So I'm with you. It's not that.
I just think he's that out of touch, and he thinks that everything that has happened to him, he can make it relate to anybody else in any other situation or circumstance, and that is completely, totally out of depth.
And I stand by that more than the fact that he's not cognitive of what's going on. However, he's progressed to that, and it's sad. He has lost all self-awareness at this point. It's obvious to everyone he's not mentally fit to make any decision, let alone be the president of the United States. I don't know, Ryan, that if you just gave him a normal day, a retired person's day, where you wake up, take a shower, put your clothes on, maybe go make some breakfast, do a few little things. If he didn't have somebody at his side, I'm not so sure he just wakes up and doesn't even know what to do or where to go.
I'm not doubting all that. And again, I think it is very telling that this week, more than any, on every mainstream media deal, they are talking about polling, his negatives, all these things. Like Fox did a whole series on all the other networks saying how he's probably not, like he's in trouble in the election, all this stuff. And so again, I think it goes to what you and I both believe, that he actually won't be the candidate. But the biggest, and I think they pointed this out to some, especially on CNN, that, the economy, inflation, immigration, all these things are bad, but probably the biggest, and age is, everybody questions his ability, his age, all this stuff. But like the thing that nobody's talking about that is probably what hurts him the most is he got elected primarily because he wasn't Trump, but number two, because everybody thought he was likable. And now the likability factor is gone.
No, I think it's absolutely gone. There's none left. He's this dog-faced pony soldier, wherever that quote comes from, that I think he continues to get wrong. Just him putting himself out there outside of the basement with the spotlight on him, people don't like him.
Right. And that's what CNN said. That's the elephant in the room, I think was the words that they used, is that what truly was his greatest asset was this grandfatherly likability, all this type figure. That's gone now,
especially when running against Trump.
Right. It's done. And again, unless they send out COVID again, and they're already doing that because they're putting mask mandates back and all this other stuff. He's still going to have to go out and run more than he did last time.
I think
not good.
I agree that he has to, but if he does that, he has to come across in a different manner, and I don't think he can. I think his self-awareness and understanding how to adapt to any situation is impossible. He can't do it. And the people around him, especially Dr. Jill, why would Dr. Jill not sit down and explain to him?
She's not a doctor.
Oh, sorry. Why would his wife not explain to him that he is a senile old man that just doesn't need to say anything?
I think they probably have, but he does. He is the president of the United States. He does have to talk.
It's a sad situation. I mean, we make light of it and kind of joke about it, but I mean, our perception on the world stage and the situation that he has put our country in, from every disastrous policy that he has in place, from energy to the southern border to the war on terror and pulling out of Afghanistan, everything, the corruption, all of these things is unbelievable. You had mentioned impeachment, that they're actually looking into the possibility of impeaching. And I don't know what you have to do, but I assume, Ryan, as you stated, that they're going to go far enough that they can access more records. I stop and think about this, and it sounds like finally the majority of the public or the populace in the U.S. believes that Joe was tied into some form of corruption through Hunter. And it's about time that they finally understand that. And I think you'll even see the liberal media going against him a little bit on this. But if you just bring it down, that there's and I think in the impeachment, the process forward or their justification forward, there's clear evidence that Hunter sold influence and at the least the perception of influence, and Joe was clearly aware of such. If you wipe that out in terms of the perception of influence or whatever, say Joe maybe didn't know. What about the fact, and I don't know why they didn't grab a hold of this. They did, it just didn't get traction earlier. Do you remember those clips when Joe was at a news conference of some sort and he bragged about how he withheld U.S. funding to Ukraine until the prosecutor that was investigating Burisma, the company that was paying Hunter to be on the board, was fired? So we have this attorney that was investigating Burisma. Joe is in Ukraine and comes back or at a press conference, and we're supposed to give him a large amount of money. And he threatens not to allow that money to go to Ukraine until that prosecutor is fired. The same prosecutor that was investigating Burisma and could uncover all the corrupt crap that Burisma was doing with Hunter. That's clear. He went on record. There was no question of this. So why
he bragged about it?
So how does that not get more traction?
I can't answer those questions, but I think that, and McCarty is getting a lot of blowback about this impeachment inquiry from both sides. And again, I don't know what they'll find, or I'm sure they'll find something. I don't know if it'll be to the level that they need to bring articles of impeachment, because here's the thing. I honestly do not think articles of impeachment need to be brought against Biden unless they have a real chance of working.
And that means passing through the Senate. And
right.
That's a big hurdle.
And it has to be 3/4. And the Senate's with camel toe 51-50 Democrat. So it would have to be resounding, overwhelming, in your face. He's, Nixon, Watergate type stuff that they find.
I believe this is past that.
And it's probably there. I'm not saying it's not. But I do not believe that the Republicans should continue the Democrats' bullshit of anything that we can impeach a president with, we're going to, just because we can.
I agree, unless they have the votes or it is at that level. The problem is, even if it's at level, everything is so politicized now, it doesn't seem to matter what you bring up. It's still the right-left split on any vote.
Yeah. And I don't even know who said this, but somebody brought up a very valid point. He's got a lot of impeachment insurance, because I don't think anybody wants camel toe to be the leader.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to that. But other than that, she's an idiot and is more cognitive at this point than he. Maybe she could do more damage. But if you look at the policy that's been implemented and through executive order on a lot of situations, we have moved further left and we have done more damage to this country than any other president in my lifetime that I can remember in a very short period.
Okay, like a year ago when I was saying she can't do a worse job than him and you argued with me, now you've come around to my way of thinking.
I don't think anybody could do a worse job. Maybe it's better because they fight back against her, where there is no fighting. They simply manipulate Joe to do whatever they so choose. I don't know. What about, I have to bring this up. You mentioned that they may bring COVID back. So there's another inquiry. That's all we have going on. The suppression of the truth on where COVID originated. So there are allegations from a whistleblower that the CIA offered money to a scientist or a committee of scientists to change the direction and what they talk about regarding the origin of COVID. And guess who's in the middle of all of this?
Fauci.
Yes, that son of a bitch needs. I probably don't know what I can and can't say, Ryan, but I'm not a fan. And treason is the least of the issues that should be brought upon him. If you think about him trying to cover up the fact that he authorized U.S. tax dollars to go to the Wuhan lab in China for gain-of-function research that has already been used against us and will be used against us in the future, I can pin the situation that we had with COVID, the deaths, the crashing of the economy, all of those things worldwide, almost right back on him. Not 100%, but a good portion of it.
The thing is, I think Fauci's in trouble. And why I say this is someone's going to have to hang for COVID. Like, I mean, when I mean hang, I don't mean physically hang, but
I'm okay with that.
Somebody's going to have to hang. And it's looking more and more like everything is going to point to him as being the one scapegoat. And I think he has a lot to do with it. Don't get me wrong. But don't think that he wasn't pressured, too.
I agree. I think there was pressure there, but he also, knowing that and I don't know, Ryan, what reason he would send dollars to Wuhan lab or to China at all, especially to do research on gain of function. They say, well, we can't do it here, so we have to do it in another country. I'm not buying into all of this, and I'm not buying the fact that there may be more corruption there in terms of dollars coming back. These are I have no basis for them, but there has to be a better explanation on why Fauci would send money there to do that research than what's being presented.
Yeah, again, and like this is what I'm saying. All this stuff is coming out, and I think the reason that they're doing this right now is they're trying to distract people from what's about to happen. Because hell, I had a very good friend of mine send me something a month ago, or maybe over a month ago now, that said that by November we'd have to be wearing masks on planes again and all this other stuff. And they were doing all of this because of the 2024 election. And little by little, everything in that email is coming true. And I'm like, oh.
I received a text last night from a friend saying, hey, I'm flying out tomorrow on such and such. Do I have to put a mask on? I thought, well, where's he coming from? He's crazy. No. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that he is. I don't think the people will stand for it, Ryan. I don't think.
Well, I think, because I don't believe that most of the states are going to listen to anything the federal government has to say on this anymore. And I think if you're in a red state, you're not going to have to mask. And if you're in a blue state, then you're probably going to have to deal with some shit. But I agree with you. I think now more than ever, the American public is going to say, regardless what color they're stated, we're not doing this shit.
So in a blue state, let's use Illinois as an example, the wonderful state of Illinois.
No.
To go into a Walmart, if the state puts this mask mandate back in play, and I don't know that they're gonna, but there is indications that they would like to move that way.
You're doing it in schools first. I mean,
yes,
doing it in schools.
And that's even maybe more. It's all ridiculous. But do you think? I do not think. And again, downstate Illinois is pretty red. Chicago is obviously very blue. Where I'm at, and I'm only an hour and a half drive to the airport of Chicago, unfortunately. Even here, there is no way that people are going to put that. The conservative base here is not going to put a mask on. They will refuse to do it, to go into it. They just will ignore it. And I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to enforce it.
Well, my thing is, and I think this is for all of the blue states that may try this. So you look at where we're at as far as crime and who is actually getting charged, tried, punished, whatever. So in any of these blue states or blue cities, major metropolitan cities, you're going to arrest me for not wearing a mask, but you're not going to arrest all these people that have stolen, stabbed, shot, whatever. Yeah, that's just not going to work. It's
no, it's not going to work. And I can't believe it. And I don't even want to go down that topic, because you'll see an image on social media or the news or a video clip where they're so brazen in terms of walking in and filling their shopping cart up and just walking out.
Yeah.
And maybe a security person or employee tries to stop them. But for the most part.
And I know that the majority of our listeners aren't in these areas, and they don't probably watch the news as intently as we do, because you and I are both crazy about it. Like
you forced me into it.
Oh, right. It's my fault. Yeah. But there are more places in this country right now than I ever thought there would be. that we have third world country bullshit going on in terms of like, I mean, people just walking in the grocery store, filling up their car and walking out. Like, I mean, what?
Yeah. Well, here's another example. What about your crazy governor in New Mexico, your neighbor?
Oh yeah, she's banned the Second Amendment.
And you have the sheriff coming on, and I believe I don't know where one of the major cities in New Mexico. I don't know which one.
I told you not to read that story. You were not going to be happy.
And he's coming out as soon as she implements this and saying his police department is not going to enforce this at all.
No,
so when we
500 lawsuits, so I mean,
when we have that disconnect, and rightfully so, from the government to the police force or the military or whatever it
pandemonium.
May be,
that's what it leads to.
It's
pandemonium and chaos.
It's the beginning of the end. Is no, and
I'm like I said, she thinks she can ban guns and no one's gonna enforce it, and so here we are. Like, and then this is just a little microcosm of all this bullshit. But like, I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist or some weird whatever, but like, I honestly believe that people will probably try to keep it together until the next election. And then if the next election is not what everybody thinks on the up and up, all this other stuff, yada, yada.
It's not going to be. No matter which side wins, the other is going to scream. I guarantee it.
And I think it could get real touch and go there.
I agree. That's the breaking point. That is what the boiling pot is all going to come to that point.
I mean, I think everybody's going to try to hold it together till then, and then it's not good.
I think we've gone a little long.
Imagine that. Well, I have some BTRJLA news. Top 10 overall lambs in the nation as of right now. Addison Zerbuck from Oregon is first, followed by Macy Zerbuck of Oregon second. I bet they're kin. What do you think? Piper Liska, Arizona third. Dottie Lefty, California fourth. Zane Downey, Montana fifth. Charlie Fender, Nevada. Wow. Sixth. Wyatt Nixon, Wisconsin seventh. Mason Calhoun, Oregon eighth. Avery Walton, Texas 9th. Isabel Lowry, Montana 10th. I would like to give a shout out to who am I going to pick today? Let me find it. Well, if I can. Do your little waterboard duties while I'm trying to find the sponsor.
You dig the sponsor up. And
wait, I got it. We want to thank Showcoat Solutions for being a 2-year...
Ryan, how could you not find Showcoat Solutions? You don't need to find them.
No, I was finding their write-up so I could read what they wanted.
I can do it without their write-up or anything.
Well, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
We use Showcoat every day. And
I know you do.
I am not going to get on there and say it's going to increase hair growth dramatically. Does it increase hair growth? Maybe. But it does condition that hair and skin to the point that it is very manageable, very trainable. I'm all in. And you know what I am about spending money on things like that.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to read what they actually want read. That's what I was searching for. We want to thank Showcoat Solutions for being a corporate sponsor for the past 2 years for the BTRJLA. Champion approved for years, Showcoat manufactures the best award-winning livestock grooming products for show cattle, goats, horses, sheep, and swine. No matter where you are in the country, no matter what species you have in the barn, if you are looking for the winning edge in the advanced shag strategy developed by Showcoat Solutions, will change your hair growth routine overnight. They have step-by-step instructions, partner with free product application videos, game-changing customer service, and all natural, best quality products in the industry. If you want to step up your game, please give Showcoat Solutions a try. Dale is a believer, as am I. So thank you, Showcoat Solutions, not only for your sponsorship, but for your product.
I appreciate the fact that the Showcoat people are out there at the shows, somewhat in the trenches, talking to the people that are using those products And the fact that they're willing to give back to this and sponsor other events to the Junior Livestock Association, this is simple. Showcoat, we're all about that. I continue to get messages from happy Show Fresh H2O customers. This is so simple and inexpensive that there's no logical reason not to have it in your show box. Keep show stock drinking on the road or at the show. Show Fresh H2O can be purchased at your local farm store, supply trailer, or at swampfox.com.
Okay, before we go into the topic, and Dale's head's about to going to spin off its neck because he doesn't even know about this. But anyway, so and there will be more information about this in the upcoming month on social media, Facebook, etc.
What are you doing?
I do want to announce that in 2024, the Beyond the Range Junior Livestock Association will have a showmanship division. And so I'm just going to give you a little brief synopsis so everybody understands.
We talked about this once.
Yes, I did. And I didn't talk to you anymore because you don't, whatever. And it's just happening. So
there are difficulties with it.
There's lots of difficulties, but I'm just going to tell you right now that we are only guaranteeing awards on the national level, depending on participation. And if we can get sponsorship, we will consider doing region. But this first year, I want to repeat, there will only be showmanship awards for the national level guaranteed. And it will be a top 10 in the 4 age divisions, in the 4 species. And it will be awards just like you get for, the points you get for showing breeding or market in the other species. It'll be the same awards, but we're only going to guarantee on nation. You will have to join to be showmanship. So just like you sign up for cattle, you're going to have to sign up for cattle showmanship because, again, it's a separate awards program, etc. All this will be explained in more detail. The one thing that I want to say and I want to state, and the reason that we have been hesitant for 2 years on this, is we cannot ask shows to change their age requirements for showmanship. So it is going to be on you exhibitors to carefully pick the shows that best behoove you depending on what age you are. Because we don't ask shows to change any rules whatsoever to be BTR or JLA sanctioned. So that is going to be on y'all. But y'all have begged, screamed, cried, you ranted about having showmanship.
And this is a great thing to have, and I've heard them, Ryan. I've taken those calls and messages. I just want to reemphasize just what Ryan's talking about right now. All of the showmanship age divisions and all the mechanics of showmanship from one show to another, from one state to another, they aren't going to all blend together as what you like, and everybody's going to be. No matter how much we preach about this, they're going to be complaining about it just a little bit, Ryan.
This is my headache. I get it. And I'm still going to go through with it. And
conforming how those points come in on ages, there's going to have to be a black and white clear pattern.
Black and white clear is what, no matter what division you showed in at that show, your points are going into our age divisions. So
you may be in that 10 to 12-year-old age bracket.
Right. If you showed against a 15-year-old at the show, it does not matter to me and how these points happen.
And there is no way you're going to make that clear enough for people. No way.
I understand that, and that's why I have been hesitant about it. But anyway, I'm trying to give the kids and the families what they want. I do not know if they will like it as much as they think they will when it happens, but I'm doing the best that I can. And so we will have a show.
And I am 100% in favor of having it. I just hope that they accept it's a very narrow path how you can lay out points.
Oh yeah. And like I said, there will be, I don't know if it'll be a Facebook Live, but I'm going to do a video explaining it in more detail, and it will go on Facebook in the upcoming weeks, because on October 1, we start taking membership for 2024. And the only other thing that I want to say about this, and then we'll move on to a topic that I'm excited about. When you do have to join for showmanship, but for you people out there that have said, well, the reason that we're not joining is because you don't do showmanship. I want you to know that you can join showmanship only. You don't have to be a cattle member and a cattle showmanship member. You can be a cattle member, or you can be a cattle showmanship member, or you can be both. And that's the same for all species. I'm not making you be both. You can pick, or you can, choose in both. But again, you have to join showmanship to get showmanship points, and you have to join the regular species to get regular species points. So more details to come.
Well explained. It is time for the main topic, and I believe today will be County Fair Mentality number 158.
No, it is County Fair Mentality, the truth uncovered.
That's good. That's really good. That is really good. So, and we've discussed this a little bit, how we come up with topics, and there is no rhyme or reason. We will sometimes come up with the topic the night before. Maybe we have a list.
Right. And I want Dale to promise that the part 2 of his Hummel Livestock will be in a couple weeks, because everybody's going to be like, what happened? And Dale's a check-in. So
no, I just didn't know if they needed back-to-back 2 episodes with me rambling. I didn't know if that was going to be positive. Back to your County Fair Mentality. So when we chose this topic, and Ryan throws it out there that we could do County Fair Mentality, and this was last night. And I'm thinking we have done 100 of these already. That I love.
Three.
I love them to death. And they seem to be popular. But when he came to me and putting into words why county fairs apply so much stress to some families, I was blown away. Ryan, please just tell us.
Well, in the previous episodes, we've talked about County Fair Mentality in terms of the fact that, and we all know, and this is not hating on county fairs. I don't want people to. I judge more county fairs than almost anybody I know, probably anybody out there. So you can't tell me that I hate county fairs, or I would not go and do them as much as I do. But the other
this is not hating on county fairs.
No, the other episodes,
some of the things to make them better.
Right, have been about things that happen at county fairs, why there are certain rules that way, what stuff like this. This episode of County Fair Mentality for me has a different take, and it is on the mentality of the exhibitors and the families that show there. And I have stated that because I judge so many county fairs, I see so many things happen, and again, I participated at my county fair every single year because my mother made me. And I have participated at 9 million county fairs with people that I sold animals to. I have thought a lot about this, and especially over the past few months, or since I started this season of county fairs. I think the reason that county fairs are so stressful and sometimes a little traumatic, but definitely dramatic on moms, dads, exhibitors, etc. is I don't know how I came to this, but it's very, very simple to me now. You never get away from those people at the county fair. You see them at church. You see them at school. You see them at the grocery store. Every single place, you never get away from those people. So, like I told Dale, you may go to the state fair, or you may go to a jackpot show, and you may be stalled by an absolute ass. But when you leave there, the probability of you seeing or being stalled by that person again is very, very low. When you leave the county fair, you're going to see the large majority of those people in the next week, in the next month. And so you never get away from there. You never get away from that group of people. And that, in my opinion at least, is what makes it so much more stressful.
Absolutely. I mean, you absolutely nailed that. And I never really stopped and thought about it. But that's
because you do not participate in county fairs.
That is not true.
Okay. Whatever.
We have gone to our county fair, not recently necessarily. And I do judge an occasional county fair. But I grew up in the county fair system, and I think that is the basis for the stock show industry. I mean, that is basically where everybody gets their start. So it is critical, and it is a wonderful thing, and we want to continue to have county fairs. But I think, just as Ryan's pointing out, and I want to add a couple things to that, there is more diversification on people that are showing at county fairs in terms of their level of experience, how competitive they are, how far they want to take it past the county fair. And it's human nature that if you have a family that's winning on the state fair level or possibly even national level, and those in their community may or may not be aware of such, but all of those people in the community are aware of who won the county fair. And just like Ryan says, you can't leave those people. And it's only human nature for those that are succeeding maybe on a higher level, and they're very proud that they've put the effort in. They understand how to feed and manage, and maybe it's the animals that they've even raised. All of those things come together, and it is a sense of pride. And if they, in turn, go to their county fair and get beat, it's just like pulling all of those accomplishments from everywhere else out within their local community, their circle, the people that they see every day.
Oh yeah, and I'm telling you that you're right. And also that not only is it the people that compete at levels outside of the county fair, and that you're right, the local people may not know that, probably don't know that, but they know who won the sheep show at the county fair. There's also the people that only compete at the county fair, and so
that believe it is a national show.
That believe it's a national show, but they put all their effort, hard work, and energy into that one show. That's it. And so it's just as important to them to win, because that's what their whole year has revolved around, and they have nothing else other than that. And so they're putting as much pressure on themselves for a different reason than the people that actually succeed at other levels. And
that's a perfect point, Ryan. You're bringing that part out, even adds to it. That is their national show. That is their targeted show. So let's say, just like you or I would be preparing for Arizona or Louisville, any big show, and that's the one that we really we want to target this. Our animals in the right spot in terms of where it's on feed and management wise, that this show is going to work for us. We're putting everything we have into it. There's families that do that, maybe not to the level that you're trying to do for a national, but in their world, they are putting a lot of effort in. And this is a big deal to go to the county fair and try to succeed. And because you have so many people that is the targeted show, it heightens emotions, it heightens everything. And nowhere else will you find such a variety of people that on various experience levels, in terms of those that are just getting started, may not understand that we have to do A, B, and C to succeed, to those that are winning on the national level. They all come together at their little bitty county fair, at their local show, and oh my God, it becomes a battle. And because that person that's succeeding at the national level maybe it's a hot day and they've got lambs or goats and they're drenching with electrolytes, all of a sudden their person next to them and the pin over has never seen anybody drenched before. They see this odd colored product or liquid going into the animal, and all of a sudden they're cheating. Wow. Whether it is or isn't a rule that you can or cannot drench, but those things just compound on one another.
Oh yeah. And just one more point on the person that only does the county fair. And this is something that I have tried to explain to people over the years, and I get blank looks. So maybe I'm off, but most people that compete on the state or national level, I don't think everyone buys an animal that does that for the county fair. But they go and show at the county fair because they have all these animals and it's important to them to win. The person that only shows at the county fair buys that animal targeted for exactly that week. There's a big advantage in that.
And they're going to feed and manage for that week.
For just that week. People don't think about that. There is a gigantic advantage in that.
Absolutely. And that person that's on the national level, let's say in the
state fair is not the same week as the county fair, people. It may only be 2 weeks, but 2 weeks is a lot.
And you grew up with this, Ryan, but in Texas, a lot of those people, and we see it up here now a little bit in the goat and the sheep ring and even in the cattle deal, and heck, maybe in hogs at this point, but they may not even slick shear that goat or lamb tight for the county fair because they want to make sure that they don't get any staph or fungus or anything coming in. So they're going in almost a little bit handcuffed because they're worried about 2 weeks later at their state fair.
I'll give you a perfect example. It happens in Texas, but it really happens in Oklahoma because Oklahoma, the majority of their county fairs are in close proximity to OYE, which makes sense because everybody feeds for OYE. So what do you think happens at those county fairs in January and February when OYE's in March and they have these steers and people don't clip them? And yet there will be people that aren't going to OYE that do clip their steer. Now, again, and I've said it 1,000 times on the mic, and some people understand that I've said, I'm going to use the best steer, whether he's clipped or unclipped. But also understand that if this decision is close and somebody did come to win the show today and clipped and fit and all their stuff.
Let's not say win the show, made the show today a priority.
Right. Excuse me. Well, they came to win. If they clipped it, they came to that show to win. If they clipped and did everything for that show.
That may have one that's pretty good that didn't clip, they still came to win. They just thought they could do it without clipping.
Okay. However way you want to describe it. But I have said, if it's close, the advantage is going to go to the person that did more for that day. And I think any judge would be wrong if they didn't give the advantage there. Because again, I'm not saying use a steer or goat or sheep that is inferior quality because it's not clipped. But if it is close and someone is maxed out and the other is not, why would you not give the advantage to the person that's maxed out?
I'm not going to argue that point. I think the fact that it's maxed out is already giving it enough of an advantage to be more competitive that you don't have to go that extra step. Yeah. It's probably going to happen on its own.
But that is a perfect example of what we're saying. I mean, but kind of back to the whole reason for this topic, I think the reason I wanted to bring this out is because I do think that county fairs are important, first off. And I think large majority of people that show livestock do want to win their county fair. No matter what level you compete at, other than that, you still want to win the county fair for all the reasons that we're talking about. But it is just the most dramatic, most stressful, most wild place you will show. And
you'll find more emotions there than
anywhere. And so my reason for bringing this out is if we can understand why it is that way. And it is believe that a big part of it is because you never get away from that group of people. You see them all the time. And so it magnifies everything to a level that you can't even understand. If you can understand that and you can hear it, maybe it will give you a better ability to handle those emotions and all of those things while you're in it. Because Dale and I are not discouraging anybody from showing from a county fair. Again, I judge 9 million of them. So of course I would never discourage anybody from showing from a county fair. But I'm also not going to lie to our listeners and say that the large majority of county fairs as exhibitors are a lot of fun because of what we're talking about.
Now, this is more for parents. Most kids, especially younger children, that is a big deal. That is fun.
No, I'm talking about the parents, and it's because they put all this stuff on them. So if you know that and you understand it, maybe that will help relieve some of it because you will have a better knowledge of why you're feeling the way that you are feeling, and you can help. I always know, and I'll just be honest, like when I was brokering cattle, if there was a judge that I knew did not like our kind, but we had to go to anyway, or there was a judge that I knew was going to do some political bullshit and we didn't stand a chance anyway. As long as I accepted that beforehand, before we went, I didn't get nearly as worked up about it. And so I guess that is my hope in bringing this to light in a different way.
So in other words, those families out there that are winning at a higher level, and they're still, most of them are still going to go to the county fair, but maybe this will let you breathe just a little bit easier, because there are a lot of pressures on you because you're expected to win. And guess what? You don't have control over what that committee or that superintendent's going to do in terms of hiring a judge. Maybe they're limited with $100 in their pocket to cover travel, the full day, all of those things. There's a lot of things that come into play that I understand make it maybe more difficult for you to succeed at the county fair when expected to do so when you're succeeding at higher levels. And it just is what it is. And Ryan, we're going to talk about this here in a very upcoming episode soon. What about those rules that are put in place because someone succeeds maybe too much at the county fair? Maybe that same person that's succeeding at the national level, all of a sudden we have to try to create rules to stop this from happening at the county level.
Well, and I think that happens, and it happens more at the county fair level than anything else. And again, rules are a broken concept. I don't know if that's next week, but it's in the next few weeks, or at least. And again, I think that one's very important to me as well. And you'll just have to listen to that one. But all the things that happen at a county fair, whether it is rules put in because somebody won and somebody didn't like it, or, people talking shit, or, doing stupid stuff, vandalizing stuff. You can sit here and list all these things, and I don't want to dwell on negative, but there is stuff that happens like that. But also you got to look at the positive things that come from county fairs and try to let that affect your mentality too. A lot of people, I'll just use this as an instance. A lot of people, their grandparents probably are never going to get to see them show anywhere but other than county fair. They're not going to go to Kansas City or Louisville. Some will, but a lot of them don't. But your grandparents get to see their grandchild show at the county fair. That's pretty damn cool. And especially coming from a person that none of my grandparents liked me enough to come watch me show anywhere.
Oh my.
What?
That is not accurate.
Oh, what the hell ever. But anyway, okay.
Well, maybe there was a reason.
I didn't say I was a nice child. I just said they didn't come watch. Anyhow, or your school teacher, or your principal, or your uncle, that maybe your uncle and them, they don't show. But they'll come watch you at the county fair.
Yes, and Ryan, and I want to re-emphasize or emphasize the fact that when elementary school, junior high, whatever you want to call it, when those kids are in that environment, our children or the stock show exhibitors, for them to succeed in front of a teacher or a grandparent or anybody that they're around all the time, it goes back to the beginning, what you talked about, that we continue to be around these people on a daily basis. That means a lot to those showmen. It really does. And to the point that it used to confuse me as a parent that there was more excitement that they did well at the county fair than maybe winning a national show. And I think it goes back to that exact statement that you made earlier. This is in front of the people that you're around all the time, every day.
Mm-hmm. And let's just get 100% real. most of the people at the county fair, I'm not talking about families that are exhibiting as much, but most of the spectators, they don't know there's a Louisville or a Denver or an American Royal or, Arizona National. They think this is it. And we know that. And so again, that amplifies that. And God love them. Most of the people that run county fairs, they may know that those other shows exist, but they do not care. They think this is the only show in the world.
They do not attend them.
And they don't care. And they think this is it. And that all goes into it.
And you know what? That's part of the love of the county fair. Is that
Right.
here's how we've done it for years, and it just is what it is. It's the county fair.
And I think that if you're going, and I can tell, I will tell a story, and Dale probably will be very upset that I'm telling the story, but we moved to Crockett my very first year to show, and we went to the county fair, and I won a lot of stuff.
Is your county fair in Crockett itself?
Yes, it is in Crockett. Yep. And I won the sheep show, and I won the steer show, and again, I was 8. And Randy was reserving the steer show, and I think he actually won the hog show that year. And these people were just god awful.
You wonder
and these
why.
people were god awful. I mean, god awful, man. I mean, I'm not.
Do you think maybe your mother, Cherie, took it a little far?
And we had just moved there. I mean, like, you name it.
Great first impression.
Right.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, these people were god awful mean. And no one at my county fair back then, and still to this day, very few, show anywhere else but there. I'm talking like 0% of the population shows anywhere else but there. And so you might have all that. And I just looked at my mother and said, I don't want to do this again.
because of just
right.
the way people looked
right.
at you, treated
yeah, and
you,
all that.
And I'm not even blaming them for it to a certain.
No, I'm not either. I mean, it was not good, and I was like, I don't want to do this again.
So I think
she never let me win that battle. We went every single year, and the more they would be angry, but she would we would show commercial heifers just so we could go kill them somewhere else because Cherie had to win another banner at the county fair and make more people mad. And then nobody would buy our animals, so John Ben would buy them. I mean, you name it, it was terrible. But
so you're go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, there's a misconception. Here's one thing. So you went in there, and I'm going to use you as an example. I know you don't mind. You went in there and you treated that. You were doing the same things you did at home. You're doing the same things that you would do going to a national show. And these are things that people at the county show maybe have never been exposed to, how the level that you're taking it to, the level of perfection that everything has to be done a certain way. That would have been new to a lot of people there. And they're thinking, this is craziness. And this isn't craziness. This is just what you do. Right. And because of that diversification from experience levels and how competitive different families want to be, that was looked upon not real positive.
Oh no, awful. Like, people videotaped us, all this kind of crazy stuff. And I never blamed the people, really. I never got mad because, again, no one else at my county ever showed anywhere else. Like, they didn't do jackpot shows. They didn't go to state fair. They didn't go to any. That's all they did. And when I mean no one, I am being very, very honest with you. Like, hardly anyone ever. And it's still that way a lot.
And you're proving your point that because of that is the emotional show for them. That is the show.
And it was not their fault that they didn't realize that you could do this or do this or do this, and it's in the rules and they can't kick you out and all this stuff. But they all thought that it was awful and terrible and whatever. And so the point of this is, I don't think we understand, or we don't take into consideration enough when we're at a county fair, regardless of who you are, whether you are a kid, a parent, a leader, a volunteer, all this other stuff. I don't think we take into enough consideration all of these factors that are bubbling and brewing under the surface that cause the environment to not be as pleasant as what I think we would all like for it to be. And so if you hear this and you just think about it, maybe by bringing this out, we can all take a step into making the county fair a better experience for everybody involved.
Yes. Those of us that have shown at the higher levels, those of us that are only shown at the county fair, this applies to everyone. Just go in with a little more understanding that people are going to take this to different levels. Some are going to be more serious and more competitive. And some, just the bottom line is, some are going to spend more money on animals than others. Some are going to do everything they can because that's their sport. It's not a lot different. And maybe we can use an analogy here that you're sending your child off to play league soccer somewhere or getting private
or
lessons
any of
for
those
them.
things, right?
In any sport. And I think it could also be compared to, we have a very small high school, a population in the whole high school of maybe 80 kids. I don't know. It's not very many. And that team goes and plays another school that may be much, much larger. That all of those, they're in a basketball game with them, and all those other kids have played on league basketball all summer, whatever it may be, and we get destroyed. And they're saying, well, they did this, they did that. No, the other school has more resources, has more numbers to pick from. It just is what it is. And there's no getting around those kind of things. And I don't think it's ever going to change that we're going to have the largest range of experience levels and competitive levels. I shouldn't say everybody wants to be, not everybody, but most people want to be competitive, but we'll have a wider range of ability specifically to succeed showing livestock at the county fair level than any other show anywhere in the country. That's where all of them come together. We go to a national show, Ryan, there may be a few people that's their first time there that have only shown at their county and maybe at their state level. But by the time you get to that point, usually you're amongst people that have been showing at the state fair level or at the national shows, and you're all in a more even playing field in terms of experience. We don't have that at the county fair level. And because of that, I think a lot of these issues arise. So if, like Ryan said, we take a deep breath and just accept that we're all a little bit different, how hard we're going at this, and we all want to win the county fair, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, you don't get away from these people. There's so many different experience levels, expertise levels at the county fair. Some people just show there for, more for what diehard livestock people would consider for fun. There's some people that only show there and take it to the most, highest competitive level that you think of, but that's the only show they have to target. Then there's all these other people that do go out and show other places, do other things, win at other levels, all this other stuff. And then again, and you go back to the fact that by and large, the people that are in charge of county fairs that's what they do. I mean, they don't go a lot of different places.
Nor can they be expected to. They've got other jobs. They're usually, some of them are volunteers for it or extension people up here in the Midwest, and they're expected to know about everything. That they're probably not a livestock specialist. It just is what it is. And you know what? Part of it is that the beauty of the county fair, maybe if we take a deep breath and relax, we can enjoy it a lot more because of A, B, and C. And we understand it can't be like a national show. We can't run it necessarily in the same manner. It just all those pieces being able to come together aren't likely to happen.
Again, I think self-awareness is key. And if we all just go into it knowing, you know what, I'm probably going to run into some stuff here that they don't understand me and I don't understand my neighbor and all this other stuff, but I'm going to have to see them all year long. So we're going to do everything we can as a family, as an exhibitor, as the parent of an exhibitor, to make this the best experience that we can, knowing that we handle ourselves one way and everybody else handles themselves another way. And it kind of goes back to the thing, if you are minding your stock and your business and not worrying about what everybody else is doing, then you're going to be way better off. And I just think that I think this is something that I hope, at least, bringing this out, because I do believe that this is what causes it.
No, I think you're right.
I started at the start, that maybe this will lead to people being able to have a better county fair experience.
That are less stressful. And the kids, guess what? They all enjoy it, at least up to a certain age. They absolutely love it. We want to continue all that. This can be the best experience ever for those new families to learn from some of those that have experienced this and understand how to manage show stock a little bit better. There's so much good that can come and does come from county fairs. My family makes their living, our livelihood revolves around selling show stock. And I guarantee you the county fair is the basis of it all. So by no means are we discouraging or trying to be negative on that, but just the opposite. This is a wonderful thing, and we just need to find ways to manage our stress so it doesn't take such a toll in I guess, spike emotions and cause issues because of such at the county show. One thing I forgot to throw in there, a lot of those kids, and you talked about, Ryan, they go to show there and their grandparents can watch, and their teachers and friends and family, all of that can maybe be there. A lot of these kids will use those county fairs, all the work and effort they put into those projects to get to that county fair auction and sell that animal, hopefully for a premium. Maybe it's grandma buying it. Maybe it's another relative. Maybe it's a business, whoever it may be. Those dollars usually still going to a fund for that child to buy a project the following year, possibly for college or whatever they so choose. And that's a big deal for a lot of these families or these kids to be able to sell on that county fair auction.
No, you're absolutely. And just being completely honest, especially in a lot of states, county fairs bring more money than state fairs. So
yes, absolutely. Well, this was good, Ryan. You nailed it. I am happy that we can share with the public and myself, why do we get so stressed at the county fair? I think now that we can at least pinpoint some of those things, maybe stimulate some discussion, maybe just get somebody to stop and think, wow, that does get to me. And maybe I do need to just take a deep breath, and it is what it is. Very, very good. I love the topic, Ryan, but you know what it's time for.
Question and answer. And we would like to thank Basic Animal Health for being the sponsor of the question and answer section of the Beyond the Ring podcast. If you will go to www.basicanimalhealth.com and choose any of their products, from gut health to trailer ride to show focus, and when you go to the checkout, if you will put in the product code BTRJLA, then we will receive a portion of the sale of those products to help pay for awards. And we appreciate Basic Animal Health, who is dedicated to providing natural solutions to all your animals' needs, for their support of our association.
Excellent. And thank you, Basic Animal Health. The first question comes from JD. I have always appreciated your views on shows letting exhibitors know well in advance who judges will be for transparency. In that same vein, in a show with multiple judges in a final drive, who marks the cards, or which should the cards be transparent or under what we would say secret ballot, I think is what they're getting at. So if we have a panel of 3 judges, should they expose which animals each of those individuals chose, or should that not be let out to the public?
No, I think it should be. Absolutely. And again, I'm going to be honest with you. My mom did some jackpot shows, and it takes a little while longer. But again, you know what Ryan did, you know what Dale did, you know what whoever Judge C did. And I think the National Western at the Steer Show does a very good job of this. They post all the scores and then the compositive. the composite score and how it all gets shaked out. And so then again, you know exactly why you were, and a lot of times people don't understand. I think there's a lot of merit to a 3-judge system, and we've talked about the different judging systems, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 and all this other stuff. I think there's a lot of merit to it. I think it takes a lot of the politics out of it. I think it's also got some problems in terms of the fact that it's slow, and maybe the best animal doesn't win, because it is a, maybe not the absolute best animal wins because it's 3 different opinions, but a good one is going to win.
The one with fewest problems usually rises to the top.
Maybe
not that freak that's really hard to make, that may have an issue that an individual may overlook. But generally speaking, it's those complete animals that are good and maybe don't have that big issue.
I think complete was probably the word that probably complete.
I don't know that you like that word is the problem.
I don't. Not what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't. But I think that's it. But in all instances in this, I think the scores need to go up. And I think not just how, I think every individual judge, you've accepted this position. You know that you're marking a card. You should be more than fine with it being shown. And so there should be no reason not to show it. So yeah.
I think some judges are hesitant to go into judge a show like that because there is that transparency, and everybody isn't going to agree, and sometimes that plays on their self-conscience a little bit. I think it's great, Ryan, and you mentioned it. The fact that on a given day with a given judge there, things are going to be different, and it just is what it is. I guess that should solidify the fact that there may not be a one best animal to show just because it was named champion, but it was the best animal that day for that judge. And it is what it is. I think there's more variation. We've talked about this many times. When we do rings back to back, people are now seeing, wow, just because I was third in class under this judge doesn't mean I need to send that pig to the sale barn. He may get along really well next time. And prior to transparency, like a committee or a panel, prior to having back-to-back shows on the weekend of the jackpot or something like that, there was, in essence, this opinion that judge knows absolutely which is the best one is and where my animal belongs and where it fits into the show stock world. And that's not necessarily true. That judge does have an opinion on it, but the next one may darn sure be different. It used to be more time between shows, where now we can go from one ring to another and be in a completely different slot than we were the first time.
Correct.
Excellent question. I like that. I loved our 1 judge, 2 judge, 3. I'd like to go back in an episode and talk about that a little more, because we are at a state in terms of political issues in the show ring that maybe we need to push on that a little bit harder, because I don't know that it's getting any better.
You're right.
Question 2 comes from Tony. Love the part 2 on how to stand out. With that being said, currently I have 2 grandsons showing cattle. They do wear Western hats. I assume that's a cowboy hat, Ryan?
I would assume.
My question is, do you think it would be appropriate to tip their hat when walking into the ring, or tip their head to the judge?
No.
I don't know.
And let me say this again. No.
I would not hold it
unequivocally. No.
I would not hold it against the child.
That's
dumb. Do I think it would be awkward and maybe distracting?
That's dumb.
I don't want it from the distracting point. I like it from the show of respect.
Dumb.
Is that all you have? Is that all you have to say on that one?
No, don't. And again, what you sit here and you talk about, we've talked about it on here. We're the only ones that bring out the fact that things affect the subconscious and all this other stuff, and that comes into Jay. If somebody did that to you, that would not be a positive thing. So don't lie to this person.
I would find it. We want to avoid the distraction.
You would find it weird, and it would be weird.
Yeah, so let's just not do it. I'm with you. You got me. You've got me. Question 3, Robert. Our fair is now charging families to purchase a wristband if they want to bring in a person to help fit. Is this normal at other shows?
I don't know about charging a wristband for fitters.
I've heard of this on a couple shows now, and I wasn't aware of it in the past.
I don't think it matters. I mean, I think every county fair you go to, you got to have a wristband or a ticket to get in, regardless who you are.
Well, yeah, no,
you're the mayor.
That's different. This is who's allowed to fit the animal.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know anything about this. You brought something up the other day, and I told you were wrong about a different state fair. That's not how it. I have never been to any fair or county fair, or state fair where they do this. I do not have a problem with it, other than the fact I don't think, again, and this goes into the rules topic that we're going to bring up. You can put a wristband on somebody, but there's not going to be enough manpower to enforce the police that only people with wristbands are. It would
be very, very difficult. And we're all familiar with the National Western or state fairs. You have to have a wristband if you're a youth exhibitor, and that makes you allowed to fit. There's a lot of things that they try to enforce. You have to have that wristband in order to fit. I don't think it works because, just as Ryan said, there's not enough people out there walking around to enforce it consistently from one show family to the next. But up until recently, I had not heard that you as an exhibitor can purchase a wristband that another person from anywhere can wear, and they're allowed to help you fit the animal. I think we talked about the diversification and experience levels at the county fair. I think this continues to separate. I think sometimes I say, well, it should only be the child fitting or their family fitting. This, in essence, takes it to another level that if you spend X amount of money, then you can bring anybody in to fit. So I just don't know. I think, again, Ryan, and we're going to do that rules episode here pretty soon. I think we'll address it much deeper on that, Robert, but I'm not opposed to it. My opposition is it's just hard to enforce these things.
Yep.
Ryan, with that, it's been a good episode.
That's only two questions, sir.
Nope, that's 3.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot.
What? See, you had me.
I tried to block out the hat question.
And if it was only 2, normally you'd just let it slide.
I know, but I felt like we were sliding the listeners.
No, excellent episode. Greatly appreciated, Ryan, that you came up with that topic, and hopefully we will have another good week. And until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?